I'm just going to share a few thoughts on finishes on this oak coffee table, and I got a few examples of things that you could use on it on the top of the table, and I've got a few opinions on why you might and why you might not. So it's just a quick one, really. Now, I've lined those things up on the top because I'm not actually touching the top. These are all glued surfaces up on the top here. That's WPB, and that is actually there to add, that's 18 mil WPB, and that's there to support the weight of this panel of tiles, which forms part of the top of the coffee table. That in turn is surrounded by a 1-inch thick slate slab that is longer than it is wide, and that is cut out in the middle to accommodate those tiles. Okay, so we don't have to worry about the part of the table that's going to take the most wear, if you like. With that in mind, I have actually cleaned, sanded down the table, and I've gone to 240, and then I cleaned it with that brush, and then I've given it a coat of Danish oil, applied by rag, and partially where it's difficult, I've used a paintbrush just to tease it into some of these reveals on the router moulding on the side of the table there, and of course where the joints are making it difficult to access with a sort of quite a heavy rag. Now, I've put one coat of Danish oil on it. I don't want to darken it down too much. I want to keep it as light as I can. And so I put one coat of Danish oil on, and I've left it 48 hours, and then I've applied a coat of beeswax. So this has beeswax on the end of it. I haven't done it to all of it. I've done it to that surface as well, but that's about it. The rest of it is just Danish oil, and really you can't see much difference. But the beeswax will give it a nice finish, a very smooth finish, and a nice glossy finish, and it'll leave it smelling nice as well. So I quite like that, and I also think it's much more practical than you might think. You may want the protection of a plastic coating on the wood, but that has its own shortcomings, and I quite like the fact that if you're using beeswax, anything that might happen to it can easily be restored with the application of a little more beeswax. Okay, now other oils that you can use are single purpose oils. I mean, here's one, and I like this. It's a very good product, and it says it's a unique oil wax combination, water, dirt resistant, easy to use and durable. Well, I've used that on a refectory table to really good effect, and every now and again when it starts looking slightly jaded, I just put some of that on it, and it actually brings it right back again, and it gives the oak a nice golden sheen, and it, well, I made that table about 11 years ago, and it still looks really good. Actually, I think it looks better and better all the time. The older it gets, the nicer it looks. Now, so there are various oils that you can use, and lots of manufacturers, and I'm not going to sing the praises of any of these. I'm not actually particularly a fan of that one, and although I do like that one, this one is an oil for worktops, really, and I've used that on the Beechwood kitchen tops, to very good effect, and also repaired it with it to good effect, and it's got a lifespan, I reckon, of about 5 or 6 years. Excuse me. And but you'll notice on the side of the tin there that it does tend to yellow the background you put it on, and that includes wood. But with beechwood, it wouldn't matter that much, but with some woods it might. So I think some of these oils you've got to be a little bit careful with, because they will yellow the woodwork a bit. Now the same goes for this. Now we're getting out of oils and into varnishes, and there are three main types of varnish I want to talk about. The first one is oil-based varnishes, like this one, which would be a polyurethane varnish, and that one says it's satin. Now that means there's an addition of something akin to very finely ground glass in it, which will settle out in the tin. So read the instructions on these tins, and same might go for that one actually, because that one is also satin matte. So you need to stir those very thoroughly. Don't listen to your granddad, who will tell you you never stir varnish. That might have been the case 80 years ago, but it certainly isn't now. So read the instructions on the back of the tin. The contents of that tin will separate out in it, and they'll remain separated if you don't stir it. So, you know, be aware of that. Now, polyurethane varnish, what can I tell you about this? Let's have a look at the tin. Yes. Now, that looks like a drip of varnish coming down it, and it looks a bit yellow to me. Now, this is my main bugbear with polyurethane, that it can, I'm not saying it necessarily does, but it can make the wood look a bit yellow, can darken it down and give it a rather sort of gluggy kind of yellow tone to it, which isn't particularly attractive. They don't all do that. If you know one that doesn't, let us know, let us all know, if you would, in the comments section underneath, because I'd like to know, and I think a lot of other people would as well. So anyway, there you go. Now, and other than that, polyurethane's great. It's tough, it's durable, resilient, resists heat and knocks and scuffs and bangs and so on and so forth. You know, good product. And it's just that yellowing thing. Also, it's nice to put on. If you add a bit of white spirit to your first coat, and as a sealer coat, and then very lightly take that down, clean it up before you put the next coat on, which doesn't need to include anything other than varnish, then you'll get a very nice finish with it, and it's something that brushes very nicely. Now, acrylic varnish. Now, acrylic is the water-based varnish. I haven't got one here because I haven't used one for a long time. I don't use it anymore. There are things I like about acrylic varnish, and one of them is it doesn't do that yellowing thing to the wood. You know, it tends to keep the wood very true to its own colour, and also, like polyurethane, it's highly serviceable. It's tough, durable, and practical. No question about it. So what's not to like then? Well, I think it's not very nice to put on. It's quite hard to brush on, and tends to be rather white and I won't say unpleasant, but kind of artificial, like when you're putting it on, and it raises the grain of the wood quite markedly. Now, again, I would ask you, if you know an acrylic varnish that doesn't raise the grain of the wood when you're you're putting it on, and I'm talking mostly about hardwoods here, then I'd like to know what it is, and I'm sure everybody else would as well if you care to share that information in the comments section. That's my main bugbear with it. Thirdly, I'll just give a brief mention to cellulose varnishes, because these were used quite widely, 20, 30 years ago. You don't see them so much now. Now, cellulose gives a brilliant finish, lustrous, deep, shows the grain of the wood magnificently, and sadly, though, it doesn't seem to last. If the wood suffers any damage and it's a high wear area, like the top of a coffee table, if it was wooden would be, then your cellulose is going to let you down badly, and quite quickly at that. So I'm actually not a fan of it. The other thing I don't like about cellulose is that the thinners tend to be very nasty. The fumes are right there in your face the minute you're putting it on, so you need to mask up pretty well if you're using cellulose thinners and varnish. Not a pleasant product to use, and often it's sprayed on, and so it's used in industry quite a lot. I would personally avoid it. Now, I haven't reached any conclusion there, but if I was going to reach a conclusion, you wanted to keep it simple, the one I think I would recommend above all others for a coffee table finish would be either polyurethane, if you can find one that doesn't yellow the wood, or this Osmo stain. I've used this because, as I've said, we're not putting a wooden top on this table, we're putting a slate top on it. And that's going to be, with the ceramic tiles, that's going to be really practical. We've done this a number of times, and makes a fantastic table. Anyway, look, I'm just sharing my thoughts there, and I'd welcome any comments from you, and I'd also welcome a like and a subscribe. To subscribe to the channel doesn't cost anything, but it does help to put the videos out a little bit more widely, and we're just trying to share information, really. I watch other people's videos, and I hope you enjoy watching these, and I hope you come back and have a look at this when it's finished, because I'll do at least one more video on this table showing the slate top in place and the tiles being set in it, etc., etc. Anyway, thanks guys. Hope to see you again.